Hello, this is the 17th hour of Revelation and World History. We have now reached the last hour of Chapter 2, following Chapter 1 of Revelation and World History. Chapter 1 mainly explained the creation of the Red Empire, Babylon and its shape. Chapter 2 examines the rise and fall of this Red Empire. In other words, we are verifying the rise and fall of this Red Empire by comparing the text of the Bible that describes the nature of the Red Empire with actual history. We have learned that the Babylon in the Old Testament's Jeremiah and Daniel, and the Babylon in the Revelation, refer to the same object. In addition, it is historically proven that Babylon in the prophetic books refers to the Soviet Union. In this session, we will learn about Babylon divided into three parts, the last session of Chapter 2. Revelation and World History, Chapter 2, Section 8. Babylon divided into three parts. The great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell. The great city Babylon was remembered before God to receive the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Every island fled away, and the mountains were no more. Revelation chapter 16, verses 19 to 20. The great city was divided into three parts. Refers to the question of how the Soviet Union collapsed. There may be many reasons for the collapse of the Soviet Union, but it points out three fundamental problems that prevented the empire from continuing to exist. The three are ethnicity, language, and religion. The Soviet Union consisted of over 100 ethnic groups, and the languages spoken by these ethnic groups are all different. Throughout the Federation, the official language is Russian, and there are ethnic languages, Ukrainian, Uzbek, Kazakh, etc., used in each republic that makes up the Federation. In addition, there were various languages used in the autonomous republics and autonomous regions, such as Tatar, Chechen, and Kurdish. In this way, ethnic groups with different histories, bloodlines, cultures, and religions were mixed together to form the federation called the Soviet Union. Under this structure, it is fundamentally difficult to become a single Soviet nation. Also, the republics on the European side, such as Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the three Baltic countries, had many Christians, such as Catholics and Lutherans. And the republics in Central Asia had many Muslims. Despite the Soviet authorities' powerful, religious extermination campaign, the number of religious people was not completely wiped out. On the contrary, the more severe the Soviet Union's religious oppression policy became. Fundamentally, the result was that distrust of the Soviet regime grew even more. In the end, these factors piled up as discontents, making it extremely difficult to maintain the Soviet Union as a single system. Rather, it only strengthened the will to be independent from the Soviet Union, which eventually led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. Eline Carrère-Doncasset, who was studying Central Asia as a member of the Soviet Ethnic Studies Group at the University of Chicago, predicted in her article, The Collapse of the Soviet Empire, the Revolt of the Peoples of the Soviet Union, published in the mid-1980s, that the Soviet Union would eventually collapse in the face of the revolt of these peoples. In an interview with the author by Georges Spiel, Helen Carrère said, "Muhammad, Islam will threaten Marx." Reference is made to Eline Carrère-Doncasset, The Collapse of the Soviet Empire, the Revolt of the Peoples of the Soviet Union. Translated by Shin Sung Kwan, Seoul, 1985. The great city of Babylon will be divided into three parts. It means that the empire will eventually collapse due to the problems of nation, language, and religion. The meaning of the great earthquake in Revelation chapter 16, verse 18, is as follows. It refers to the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the division of political lands, the creation of borders, and the creation of many new countries. Every island was gone, and the mountains were no more. Revelation chapter 16, verse 20. Every island refers to the Eastern European countries that were satellite states of the Soviet Union. And all of these countries have also abandoned the communist system. Mountains is a metaphor for the union of the republics that formed the Soviet Union. Seeing the dissolution of the Soviet Union, he said, even the mountains disappeared. If we summarize the lectures we have given so far in chapters 1 and 2, we can see the surprising fact that the description of the Babylonian Empire, recorded in the text of the prophecy, and the actual appearance of the Soviet Empire are exactly the same. Through this, it becomes clear that the prophecies about Babylon in the book of Revelation, Jeremiah, and Daniel are prophesying about the same history. We have confirmed the identity of the beast, with 7 heads and 10 horns, that rises from the sea. Among the 2 beasts that appear in chapter 13 of Revelation, it was the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union lasted for 70 years, and then disappeared. The 7 heads were the 7 supreme leaders of the Soviet Union. And the 10 horns are the Commonwealth of Independent States, which was newly established after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. In Revelation chapter 13, another beast appears. It is a beast, with 2 horns like a lamb, that comes up from the earth. The number of the name of that beast is the famous 666. In chapter 3 of Revelation and World History, we will reveal the identity of this 666. We ask for your interest and subscription. This was the Bible History School. Thank you very much.